Hello, everybody, and welcome back to another WM32 football podcast. Today it is me and Nelson in the hot seats, and we will be previewing this weekend's upcoming North London derby. Obviously, I will be representing the better half of North London, if you like. So I will be representing Tottenham, and unfortunately for Nelson, he's representing the red half, and he is representing Arsenal. So Nels, big game coming up this weekend. How do you, from the Arsenal perspective, how do you see this one playing out? Obviously, Tottenham are above Arsenal in the league as it stands. You're not quite in the bottom half just yet. Obviously, Leeds, luckily for you, lost last Monday night to West Ham. So yeah, how do you see this one playing out from an Arsenal perspective?
See it playing out pretty well. I don't know. I think I'm really interested to see what's going to happen between now and I think the only thing that I'm annoyed about is the fact that your game, the Europa League game, that's happening this week, is the fact that you guys are playing at home, but we'll be traveling away to play Olympiacos. So it's not looking great in that respect, but we have been in this familiar territory because that's where we played Benfica in the last leg and came back. So both teams, we both know, have not been great this season. I don't even know where this one's going to go, but I'm looking positive. I think last week's result, would have stopped a bit of momentum for us from an Arsenal perspective. But I am looking forward to it because I think it's one of the most underrated. I don't know how. It's still one of the most underrated North London derbies there is. I mean, sorry, not even North London derbies, just underrated derbies in general. You've obviously got your top ones in Manchester, Glasgow, El Clasico, etc. But with us, there's always some fire. And I think the last decade, especially the last decade, I think the North London derby has made a jump into becoming one of the best derbies out there. So I'm really looking forward to it. I don't know what the score is going to be, honestly, but I think there will be a different turn. I think the mood will be different simply because when we faced you in a reverse fiction, you guys, it seems like you smashed us, but it was only 2-0. It was only 2-0, but it seems like you smashed us because that's that system that you guys were playing at the beginning of the season that rocketed you guys up to the top spot. It was just hard to stop. We knew it was happening, but we just didn't set up for it properly. And I think the mood will be different for both camps. I think regardless of the Europa League results that happen on the Thursday for both teams, I just think this time will be a bit different because I think Arsenal have now, especially Arteta, I think he's starting to find his squad, identify his players, especially since the turn before the new year when we beat Chelsea 3-1. I think that was a turning point in our season, just to bring a bit of stability. Don't get me wrong, we're still poor, but we're, like you said, we're just out of the bottom half of the table. But at the end of the day, I think I'm looking forward to this one just because I think the mood will be different. And I just can't remember the last time we beat you guys. I think it'd just be nice to beat you. So, yeah. What about yourself from your Tottenham perspective?
I think it's obviously interesting you mentioned the Europa League games. Obviously, Arteta's come out and was crying about that as well, to be fair. Obviously, the reason why, for those of people that are watching or listening that don't know, the reason why Tottenham are playing at home is due to UEFA and the fact that two teams from the same city can't be at home on the same night. And within the draw, both Tottenham and Arsenal were drawn away first. But because you guys won the FA Cup last season, you get priority. I don't know why, but you get priority on fixtures. So yeah, you've got an away leg first, which in European ties is usually favourable. But I think, from a Tottenham perspective, obviously, if this game was happening a few weeks ago, completely different picture. I think Spurs fans were, myself included, we were worried about the direction of the team, where we were going under Mourinho and everything else. But I think that last 20 minutes against West Ham, albeit in terms of the state of that game, it was too late. But I think certainly that last sort of 20 minutes has been crucial for us, really, because we haven't really looked back since then. Picking up 3 really, really vital wins over the last week or so, beating Burnley, which I mean you guys couldn't do. Beating Fulham, and beating Palace. So yeah, 3 really good wins in the league. Obviously got the job done in the Europa League as well just before that. So yeah, I think, from a Tottenham perspective, I think we've got good reason to be quite confident regarding this particular fixture. Mourinho hates Arsenal as well, so that's all well and good. One positive certainly of him being in charge is that he hates Arsenal, and he probably hates Arsenal more than Tottenham fans, which is great. So yeah, I've got a good feeling. And I think as well the fact that there's no fans, there's no sort of home crowd, not that you get much anyway, because there's usually red seats dotted about. Again, will help our cause. And yeah, I'm feeling confident because of the state of the 2 teams right now. Obviously, Tottenham are, you would like to think, or on the face of it, certainly a banging form. Arsenal still inconsistent. So yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling good regarding this one, I must admit. So Nels, then going from how we think the game will go, who do you see then from the Arsenal perspective being key, provided that they are fit for the game? Who do you see being key for you guys in the derby?
This question. If you had asked me like during the Invincibles era, I'd list like 5, 6, 7 man, 5 shots, bang, bang, bang. But now I just think it's so difficult to identify just one, because like you said, the state of the 2 teams, especially us, horrendous. I think if I had to pick one, I'd start off in goal. It's crazy that people think, why wouldn't you select an outfield player? But I think Bernd Leno has actually been one of our most consistent players, apart from his horrendous blunder against Wolves, which was beautifully TikToked by their TikTok account, by the way. For people listening, please check that out. He's been our consistent performer this season. He's been very reliable in goal. I think he's picked us. I think he's helped us, gain some crucial points. And I think he's made some tremendous saves to keep us in games when we look like we're not even in them. Last season, especially, I think his importance was really felt, especially when we missed him. We know Martinez came in and did a great job, but leading up to that point, Leno really saved us. Like we're talking, really saved us, and I wasn't surprised that he was in contention for Player of the Season last year. So I think Leno will be really key. We all know he was beaten by. You can't stop world-class shots like what Son did. The reverse fiction just curled it, from like 35 yards. There's nothing wrong with that. And even Kane's second strike, I think there was nothing like. I can accept those kind of strikes, but he is reliable when it comes to. I think he's improved as well in terms of what's it called? Arteta's. I think the philosophy, the way he wants to play from building out from the back. I think the Burnley goal, which really annoys me still, which I don't know what Xhaka is doing. I still think, like, even though the ball's given back to Leno before he plays it back to Xhaka, who then makes the mistake, you're thinking just play it long. But what I respect is that he's still trying to, Leno is still trying to build up from the back. No matter how close an opposition striker could be, he could be sniffing your armpit. He would still play the ball out from the back, which I completely respect, because I think his ball playing ability as a keeper has improved this season. I've noticed that distribution has gotten better, and he's still the same shot stopper that we've had. I think his mentality has grown, and I think he's becoming a low key. I would say low key, not out there, but a low key leader, a low key for us. He's the one person that I could in this dreadful team. That's the only person I could think of right now. If you're thinking outfield, in terms of attack, I would probably go for our star boy, Bukayo Saka. I think he would probably be the one I'd be looking forward to be on the ball the most. I'm not sure who's going to play at left back for you guys, but I think it'll probably be Reguilon. I don't even know how to pronounce his name. How do you pronounce the brother's name? Tell me.
We just call him Reggie, to be fair, but yeah,
Reggie,
Reguilon.
cool.
Reguilon,
yeah. So Sergio Reguilon, yes, he would probably be up against Bukayo Saka, and that would be I think that's an interesting matchup. Actually, I think it's Sergio's second derby. He played really well in the first one, and I think that matchup between him and Saka, if Saka plays on the right. Because at this rate, like sometimes I just get annoyed with Arteta's like starting 11, who he chooses. Because one day you'll find Pepe on the left, then at wing back, I don't know, Saka on left back, in centre mid, I just don't know. So I think if Saka plays and he's fit, I'll go for him outfield. But I'll stick with Leno for now. Who do you think, from a Tottenham perspective, who's going to be your danger man, key for you guys heading into Sunday?
I think there's probably a number of players that I could pick, which is fantastic.
Exactly, yeah.
You mentioned Reguilon, and I think he jokingly said in an interview recently that Spurs' sudden upturn in form has coincided with him coming back into the team. But honestly, like, he's been a revelation, I think, since coming from Real Madrid. One so young, but has got a really good mentality on his shoulders. And if anybody wants, a case study from this, if you look at the way he speaks to Lo Celso after the Chelsea game at Stamford Bridge, I think that's a prime example of Reguilon kind of wanting and demanding more from his teammates. But I think going forward, he's been fantastic. Absolutely rapid. Can defend fairly well considering he's coming into a new league, different league, with different tests in each game. I think he's coped brilliantly. The only game I was slightly worried with him was maybe West Brom away, but I think he come through that pretty well. So I think Reguilon's definitely key for us attacking wise down that left hand side. I think Højbjerg is going to be key for us in that midfield. He is literally the plug in that midfield because we've got so many wonderful attacking players. He just plugs the gaps in between.
What's your nickname for him? Remind everybody your nickname for him.
I haven't really got one yet. I know someone else has. It's Pierre-Emile Høj Busquets.
That's the one.
Big up expressions for that one. Høj Busquets. So yeah, obviously we got Ndombele. I think he's going to be key in terms of trying to unlock the door. I mean, he's just different class. The closest thing I've seen, I think, to Moussa Dembele, and he's greatest of all time. We got your undeniable love, your second love in Sonaldo, Heung-min Son.
Sonny.
Yeah, obviously I was one of the very, very lucky ones within the 2000 that were at the reverse fixture, and that goal was just phenomenal. So yeah, he's going to be key. If Bale plays, Bale is now coming back into form finally. So you can't discredit Bale if he's fit and he's firing, if he's up for it. I think he'll have a good game. And then you got the King of North London derbies. Harry Kane going to be key. Will probably score. I have a feeling it might be a penalty as well, to be fair, because I think his last couple have been penalties. Whether he wins the penalty or not, I don't know. But I think he's going to bag a penalty. But yeah, no, certainly, obviously, key battles across the pitch, really. Throughout. But yeah, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling confident with this one. As I said earlier. But yeah, no, there's certainly sort of 4, 5, 6 players for Spurs that are going to be key for us winning the game. And I think also as well, Lucas Mora.
Yes, good shout.
His performance against Crystal Palace on Sunday was fantastic. In terms of his work off the ball, like, he was the one initiating and starting the press, and I think that work almost compensates for the luxury of Gareth Bale, because Bale sort of has that. It seems Bale has that free role and he can go where he wants. I mean, the guy's won 3 Champions Leagues, so he has that authority there that he can just go, do you know what, I'm going to do what I want. And I think most Spurs fans will go, go on then, Gaz, you do what you want. So yeah, I think Mora has been has been interesting. Like I say, he's a frustrating player, a bit like Eric Lamela, in that his second touch is either a tackle or he just gets it half the time and runs into blind alleys. But no, certainly his work off the ball, I think, was highlighted for a change in that Palace game. I think he does it quite a lot, but doesn't always get the plaudits for that. So yeah, go on.
I'd like to. I don't know why I didn't think of this player for my team, but you mentioned key battles. There's going to be key battles everywhere. So you mentioned Højbjerg.
Yeah,
that's going to be a very important, person in Sunday's game. But I also think, a man like Thomas Partey, if he's fit, that could be a potential duel just to see between the two.
Yeah,
we know. I think Højbjerg has already established himself. We know he's already got Premier League experience with Southampton. He's come in. He's done a superb job since you guys have bought him. I think the reason I mentioned Thomas is because Thomas makes us tick in a way that I haven't seen for a very long time in terms of his like as soon as he gets the ball, it's progression. It's first thought is forward. And I really like that in him. He's able to carry the ball with him, which I really like. And he's able to do a defensive duty. He's much more mobile and agile than Granit Xhaka. So he's going to do much more of a job. But obviously it's been frustrating, like from an Arsenal perspective, seeing him this season because he hadn't missed a game in 4 years for Atletico Madrid, but he's come to us and suddenly he has injuries. Nah, something's up. I even know. Like it's crazy when you think that. Like you look at, like, obviously going off the topic of our midfield battles, you're looking at, a Premier League great in Eden Hazard in Chelsea, was a baller. He's gone to Madrid and now he's suffering from all these injuries. You're just thinking, what happened on the flight? What happened? Did something? So yeah, I think I'm just pointing out that I just like to add in Thomas Partey in that key battle that we've been talking about.
Yeah, I mean, it depends what his hamstrings are like, because we all know what happened in the reverse fixture where he decided
yes, we do.
To just walk off. I don't think he passed the Ndombele test very well. And Ndombele was playing further up the pitch then as well. So it'd be interesting to see if Ndombele does play slightly deeper where he has been recently, or he does end up in that number 10 kind of position, and Tottenham go with perhaps Højbjerg and Sissoko. So Nels, you've teed me up quite nicely there. Who do you see, from your Arsenal perspective, with your Arsenal hat on, who do you think Arteta is going to play in this game? Obviously, we mentioned earlier that Thursday night we are both playing in Europe as well. So, how do you see Arteta approaching this one in terms of his lineup?
I think, like you said, the fact that we're playing Thursday it's going to affect the lineup heading into the weekend, depending on how we perform. If we end up cruising and winning the first leg against Olympiacos, then I think he will probably stick with the same team heading into Sunday that plays on Thursday, because that way, the second leg, depending on how we do in the first leg, he can rest some players, etc. But what I believe Arteta will put, not what I want to see, because there's two different versions of that.
I'll let you have two. I'll let you have two versions. So the one that you think Arteta's going to play, and then your dream team, if you like.
All right, cool. So we'll just skip through Arteta's one. Leno in goal. Okay. We'll go Bellerin right back. We'll go David Luiz, and I actually think Pablo Mari will go in defence. And you're laughing at this because you know that if Harry Kane's looking at this, brother, hey, I'll buy you some jollof rice. You're going to enjoy Sunday. But who have we got? Pablo Mari, left centre back. Kieran Tierney, left back. I think he's going to stick with Partey and Xhaka in the middle. One thing, as much as Granit Xhaka has made mistakes, I think I mentioned to you off the air that one thing I credit is his ability to still remain fit and still be selected throughout all these games. These, the fixture congestion that we have because of COVID, that we, players have obviously had a lot of injuries, and he's been there since that started. So Granit Xhaka in the middle. I think he's going to go for interesting. On the right, I think he's going to go for Pepe. In the middle, I think he's going to go for Martin Odegaard. And on the left, I think he's going to go for Bukayo Saka. Now, I don't want him to put... I'll tell you why I don't want him to put Saka on the left, but Oba will probably finish up top as the striker. So that completes like the 4-2-3-1 set formation that I think Arteta will go for. Now, if I put my dream team, I would want Leno in goal, Hector Bellerin at right back. I would want Gabriel at left centre back, and I would want Rob Holding at right centre back. I think Holding has been... I think he's been good. I wouldn't say brilliant, but he's impressed me this season because I was surprised that Arteta actually wanted him to stay at the club. He's renewed his contract, got his extension, and this season he has been an important, team member. And I don't know. I think I get this feeling that Arteta sees Rob Holding somewhat as a John Stones at City, because obviously we all know he works at City of Guardiola. I'm not saying Rob Holding is just like John Stones. Let's just put it out there. John Stones is a much better defender, much better baller than Rob Holding will, no disrespect, will ever be. But
a B-Tech version of
B-Tech version. But I do see I do see Arteta seeing similarities in those two, so I can see why you'd want to keep him. Gabriel, I think, you mentioned Gabriel being one of the consistent performers in a really bad team this season. Coming from a new league, I think he's done really well, and I think I'd love to see a duel between him and Kane, like jumping in the air, because Gabriel scored, I think, two-headed goals this season. So I know Kane loves to get up and get his head on things. So I'd love to see that. Kieran Tierney, I think, is Arsenal captain. I've said it from the get-go. This brother, Scottish warrior, shortbread Scottish, whatever you want to say, warrior thing. Oh, I love Kieran Tierney. I could be on here talking about all day, but we'll move forward. Partey, the crazy thing is, I'd probably go with Partey and Ceballos. Now, the reason I say Ceballos is that I'd tell Partey to have more, I'd give him more defensive duties during the game. Allow Ceballos to just free roam and essentially pick out those, penetrative passes into, the number 10s, into your wingers. And then I'd go for Nicolas Pepe on the left. The reason I say on the left is because I think his form the reason why he's received an upturn in form is because of the switch in formation to go out on the left. I think it started against the game in Southampton where we won 3-1. He scored. And since then, he's had really good performances. And it would be Arteta to give him a run of games. He bags maybe 3 or 4 goals, only for him to take him off and not play him another 2-3 games. And you're like, what? Like, he's on a run of form. Put him on. So I'd be interested to see, like, if that's something Arteta would do. As much as I've enjoyed seeing Martin Ødegaard come in, I wouldn't put him. I'd actually put Smith Rowe, the Croydon De Bruyne. I'd put him straight in because this is North London derby. I'm sorry, Martin, you don't get the gist of this. Like, this is like war, Sparta war. Like, so I'd put him and then put Saka on the right because I think Saka's numbers have improved tremendously since he's been on the right. I think he just looks like a killer on the right compared to the left. And the reason I say that is because, as well, Kieran Tierney really likes to bomb forward. And if you have Saka on the left, I feel like that nullifies him and it kind of susses out our game plan in the sense that everyone will know, okay, if you just cut off that entire left side that has Tierney and Saka, there's nothing else. No offense to Pepe and Bellerin. They're not going to offer nothing on the right. So it's a bit frustrating. So that's why I put Pepe on the left, Saka on the right, gives a bit of balance, but also, unorthodox. And then as much as I'd put Oba up top, I think Arteta put Oba up top. I'll finish off and put Laka. Laka, he seems to turn up for a North London derby somehow, whether it's a goal or an assist or just getting a shift in. So that'd be my team. But I've spoken a lot. I'm going to switch it over. It's in your hands, bro. What is your team heading into Sunday? What do you think Jose is going to put out there?
Well, just wanted to say that, on the back of your teams there, I do hope that is Rob Holding and Gabriel at centre half, for the slight fact that in the reverse fixture they practiced social distancing for Sonny's goal. So nobody was
they did
2 meters of him, and I don't think in that moment Sonny could believe it, and he's just gone, do you know what? Why not from that far out? and obviously scored a world-class goal. Yeah, I think obviously with Kieran Tierney as well. I think I am a massive fan of Kieran Tierney. Although I did read a stat the other day that Matt Doherty's got more assists in the Premier League than Kieran Tierney, and Matt Doherty is our backup right back, by the way. So yeah, and Doherty's also got the same amount as João Cancelo in terms of assists in the Premier League.
Whoa. Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, I'm not even kidding
Wow.
right now. Yeah, Matt Doherty, by the way.
Wow.
Anyway, okay, I'll go with what Jose is, what I feel like Jose is going to.
Okay, cool.
So
cool.
we'll go.
All right.
Hugo in goal. Let's just hope he's not been on the vino on the weekend, because if he is, then he's probably going to drop a clanger or two. Lloris frustrates me because he'll drop a clanger in a big game. If we look at, the Manchester City game as a prime example, but then in the next game, which was against, I think, Wolfsburg, he pulls off a world-class save. So it's almost like we know that the quality's there.
Mm-hmm.
It's just almost when he chooses to showcase that quality. I'm hoping, and this is probably the first time I've ever said this, but I am hoping that the Ivorian Cafu, Serge Aurier, so I'm hoping that he is fit, because he has been a man reincarnated this season. All right, it probably cost us 15 million to get him reincarnated in the signing of Matt Doherty. But yeah, I think by and large, Serge has been fantastic for us this season, and has actually performed fairly well. I'd probably say in the bigger games this season. I think I can only sort of pinpoint one mistake that he's really, really made, or maybe two, which was one against Liverpool with getting caught out ball watching and then giving away a penalty against Leicester. But other than that, I think he's been top draw this season. And anybody that knows me knows that he was potentially first one out the door in the summer, and I think most Spurs fans would probably say the same. But his turnaround has just been top draw. So yeah, I'm hoping he's fit and he starts. If not, I would like to see JT Japhet Tanganga playing, because this guy pull up any of your top wingers in the league and this guy will pocket them. Sterling, Mahrez, Mane, Salah. This guy just pockets wingers like the best of the best in the league. He just pockets them. So yeah, if Aurier, the Ivorian Cafu, isn't playing, I'll have JT at right back, please, Jose. But yeah, I think, like I say, if Aurier's fit, he gets the nod. I think centre half wise, Sanchez and Alderweireld. I know one centre half pairing that it can't be, and that is Eric Dyer and Davinson Sanchez. Those two against West Ham were like the Chuckle brothers, man. So it can't be having that, especially in a North London derby. But I feel like Toby has to play, and then it's either one of Sanchez or Dyer, because as I mentioned, Dyer and Sanchez just don't work together like at all. But it feels like they both need somebody alongside them to almost lead the back line. They need to be led, and I feel like Toby brings that. Obviously, he scored in a North London derby recently as well. Did Alderweireld? So
he did.
Yeah, that was a fantastic header in that one. But yeah, I think Toby just has to start. I think he's come back into the side, and again, we've looked a lot more solid defensively. Even when we've been under the cosh in games, we've still looked fairly solid at the back as well. Left back, Reguilon Don, as some people say. So yeah, Reggie at left back, as I mentioned earlier, he's been a revelation since joining. Probably our replacement for prime Danny Rose. Is the way I'm going to describe Reggie. I think he's been top draw. He's been brilliant. And I think he's been quality not only on the pitch but off the pitch as well. Just the little things that you see on social media. It's just stuff that any fan really can get behind, like going to sleep in club pajamas and something like that. It's just those little bits that as a fan you can really get behind. So yeah, I think midfield wise, I think you'll probably go with Højbjerg and Dombele. obviously Harry Winks started against Crystal Palace and had an okay game. I don't think he stood out potentially as much as a lot of people would have really wanted him to. But I mean, I said it after the reverse fixture, which was that if Arsenal had Harry Winks in their side that day, they'd have won the game because Arsenal dominated the ball, but Xhaka just didn't want to pass forwards. It was almost like if he did, it was a crime. He was just so sideways and backwards and with his passing. But I think Winks has got that ability to switch play and find good passes forward as well. Those penetrative passes that you mentioned earlier. I think Winks has that ability to do that, but I just think for this game, and Ndombele will get the nod, and I can't wait to see him spin midfields like they're absolute Beyblades again, because that kind of stuff just gives me life. So yeah, and Ndombele, and then I think the three in behind the main striker. It wouldn't shock me if Jose went with Bale, Lucas, and Sonny again, and then obviously with Harry Kane up front. But it seems like that's been very settled in terms of the team lineup at the minute. So I don't potentially see, like from a Jose perspective, I think he's in the last few games, as I said, obviously barring injuries, and obviously we know Reguilon's coming back from one, so he's probably just nursing him back. But that back four now looks a bit more settled, and then that's given the rest of the team a little bit more confidence, I think, because they sort of know, like, right, okay, if it's Toby that's made the difference, I don't know, but just look a bit more settled, I think, as a team. I think the dream team, though,
dream team
again, probably Lloris in goal, Aurier. I don't think the back four would really change for me. It's just the front positions really that would.
Okay.
I wouldn't mind to see Tottenham set up in the same way that we did against you guys earlier on in the season, and almost let you come onto us, and then we'll just be devastating. But the thing is, if we're going to do that, we just have to be clinical and take our chances, because I think we've done that in games, but we've had chances, we're just not taking them like at all. So I think that will be key. So yeah, I'd probably like to see Sissoko in there with Højbjerg. If we are going to concede possession, I think Sissoko will probably be better at doing that than Ndombele would.
Yeah.
Just because I think in the reverse fixture, again, we almost went with a back six, but it was actually denying the half spaces almost in between fullback and centre back each side, which meant that the number 10 on the day, which I think might have been Willian for you guys.
It was Willian. Yeah.
It was almost like, right, we'll just deny him space, and they can't get on the ball. And then it was like, right, well, you guys are going to have to go down the sides of us and play in front of us, but you're not going to play in between. So yeah, I wouldn't mind that with it then, and Ndombele being in the 10. And if that was the way that we were going to go, I'd probably sacrifice Gareth Bale for Lucas Mora. So I'd probably only change like 2 players out of it. I mean, I'd love to see Dele obviously getting a look in, but it just depends sort of how we set up. I think this is an interesting game to see how Tottenham are going to set up now, because as I mentioned just before, we've seemed to have a little bit of a settled team, but now it's coming into like a big game, a derby game. Is Jose gonna tweak something? Is he gonna have something up his sleeve tactically, or is he just gonna stick with what we've got and what we've had playing for us, and trust those guys to go and get the results? So yeah, I'd probably only make 2 changes. It'd be Sissoko and it'd only be Sissoko really in Bale, but yeah, just a couple of move about. So Sissoko will be in alongside Højbjerg, and Ndombele gets to show Thomas Partey who's the real king of North London in the midfield. You got Harry Kane up top, obviously, with Sonny on the left, as well. So that's just how I would go with it. I've probably shocked you with my dream team there.
Yeah, just a bit. But I think from both of our teams that we've put out, this question has just come to mind. And I think this would be much of an easier question for you than it is for me. So from the teams that I mentioned, from my perspective, and the teams that you mentioned from your perspective, I guess this is a question for both of us. Who would you want to take from, either team and put them in your squad? So if you had to take one Arsenal player from that lineup I put up, which will probably not be a hard. I mean, at the end of the day, like I feel like there's not a lot of quality players up for grabs for you. But no, if you actually had to take one player that you wanted to bring because you like the way they play, you like them, and I'd have to pick one myself. I'll let you go first.
I probably know your answer anyway.
No, actually,
but,
you might be surprised.
In terms of, I mean, you're not giving me much here because I think, as I said, I was one of the lucky ones to be at the reverse fixture, and it was probably the worst Arsenal side that I've ever seen. There was just not a lot there, really. I'm used to growing up with Arsenal being one of the top teams in England and in and around Europe, and you guys always having the bragging rights and everything like that. You're all right. You dominated us, but you didn't really do much with the ball when you had it. So we were loving life really, because we'd go, do you know what? Keep coming, because we know ball into Kane, spin, Son, and we're in. And I think that's virtually what happened for both the goals, if I remember rightly. But yeah, I think if I was to take one player from you guys, it would have to be Saka. I think the way this guy is just carrying your team at such a young age is ridiculous. Like, he must have a bad back or something, this guy, because seriously, carrying you guys like you wouldn't believe. But the thing is, he's 19 years of age, and he's carrying Arsenal Football Club. Like, someone please, for people in and around our age, that sounds mental because of Arsenal being the club that they once were. Certainly in my time growing up, as I said, winning league titles and really challenging Man United and whatnot, and now you're sitting mid-table, which is lovely to see. But yeah, I think for me it'd have to be Saka. He would probably be the only one, and obviously at the time of the reverse fixture, you lot were chatting to Brighton and Fulham, and then man down there.
We were.
You were going down at one point, so it's been a nice little upturn in form for you guys. But yeah, I'd probably say Saka, because I think as well, no coincidence that Arsenal started to become better, and his form has got better as well. I don't think there's any coincidences in that at all. But yeah, if you're going to surprise me and not say you're literally like your love child in Heung-min Son, who are you going to have?
As much as it's quite obvious that you could pick out of Kane and Son, like if we just look at Kane's numbers this season, 16 goals and 13 assists. The brother has nearly had 30 goal involvements, and we're not even 3/4 of the way through this season. People just beat that. Take a moment of silence. Like, this is how good England's number 9 striker is right now. I don't know what Jose's done, but
he's helped him. He's helped him explode, as he said he would in the documentary.
It literally explode, and like this. Anyways, Son as well. At one point, he was leading the goal scoring charts. I think he's still up there. He's definitely still up there. But if I had to take one person, it wouldn't be Son. It wouldn't be Kane. I would love to see a midfield partnership of Partey and Ndombele. I'd take Tanguy straight up. Wes knows that probably my first love child is Son, but Ndombele is creeping up there because me and Wes discuss a lot of times about how good this brother is. Beyblade techers, we're talking. So I'd fully take him. I was so jealous when you guys initially bought him, because I don't think Spurs fans at the time understood how good this guy was and how good he could get. And now you guys are obviously reaping that and seeing how good he can be. I think it just needed a little bit of time for sure. I think he scored initially on his debut, and I think you guys were like, okay, this is it. But we all know that dip in form, and I'll never forget that. I wouldn't say infamous, but that really hard, I wouldn't say even harsh, but it was a really tough analysis that Jamie Carragher gave of Ndombele after one of the games against Burnley, how he just wasn't up to scratch. And obviously Jose was the one who came out in the media and said that he needed to do better. And obviously we don't know as a football player, I mean, we're not football players ourselves. We don't know how much that, takes on someone's mental health, like how that affects somebody confidence-wise. But credit to him, he's got back up. He's shown everybody what he's capable of doing. And yeah, he's a mainstay in your team for years to come, like you said. Moussa Dembele, the GOAT, as in your opinion, of Spurs. He's definitely filled that gap that you guys have been missing for so long. So if I had to take one person, I'd take Tanguy just because he can sit deep, pull the strings. But if you wanted to, put some flair in there, just put him further up, and he can just do it all. Do it all. Yeah, so that's the player I would take. I would take him.
Not a bad choice. And I think as well, what people have underestimated with Ndombele is his creativity.
Yes.
Because he can find those eye of the needle passes that a lot of Spurs fans were saying that we haven't really replaced Eriksen in that respect. And I'm like, have you seen Ndombele? If you look at Son's goal against City, obviously he chops, I think it was Gundogan and Rodri, sent them both back to Germany and Spain, where they both came from. And he's just clipped a lovely little ball over the top. Now, I know it's like, okay, it's an over the top ball, it's not a through, but it's still a through pass. And actually, Kane's movement in that goal as well makes the goal, because if Kane doesn't drop short, there's not that space, and drag one of the centre halves out, there's not that space in behind for Ndombele to play that ball. But certainly there's been times as well in games where he's slipped in a through pass and we've been in, whether that be for Son or even one of the fullbacks. But yeah, I think Ndombele's creativity is very, very underestimated at the moment, and he is very, very slowly becoming one of my favourite Tottenham players in this team and in this current crop of players. Because I don't feel like I've got a real top one favourite player at the minute since Moose left, unfortunately. So I think
he's close. It seems like he's close.
He's getting there. Definitely. Right then, Nelson, in terms of derbies gone by, I have a feeling that I may know the answer to this one. But if there was one derby that stood out for you, we'll go with either Highbury or the Emirates, because that is where this particular derby is being held. Which one would that be?
A really good question. Like I said, the last decade, as I mentioned earlier, the North London derby has slowly just gone up the derby table. I think at first you had your Classicos, you had Manchester and Liverpool up there, you had your Glasgow derby, Milan, but North London derby is slowly creeping up there. People need to put respect on it because it's a big one. It's a very big one. Goals are flying, red cards. One that stuck to my heart for a very long time, not even a very long time, it was actually very recent of a derby. I think I mentioned it, in one of the previous episodes, the previous derby specials that we've done. And that is actually the 4-2 victory against Hughes at the Emirates. Unai Emery's first game in charge of the North London derby. Shout out, good evening, Mr. Good Evening. He came in, and obviously we weren't expecting much, and we were expecting a whole rebuild, but I'll never forget the atmosphere, because I think it was a different atmosphere, one different to the Wenger era. And I think that's what really excited me, because it was the first time that I guess everyone at the time, obviously we now have Arteta, but everyone at the time was like, okay, Mr. Wenger's out. We can now look forward to rebuild. This is our first North London derby. Let's have it. Give it to us. And that I don't think I came leading up to that game. I don't think we actually thought that we would have won. But I remember I was shopping in Tesco and I just saw these notifications pop up. I was like, oh, Oba scored. Okay, cool. 1-0. All right. Eric Dyer scored. Okay, 1-1. Oh, Kane scored a penalty, 2-1, heading into half time. Not bad. I heard about the argument between Dyer and Ramsey on the bench and all of that. So just like I mentioned, the fire that North London derby brings, it had all of that. And then the comeback that we made and the atmosphere when Lucas Torreira bags his first goal for Arsenal in a North London derby and he takes off his shirt, like that picture stays with me. We're talking like it stayed with me for a very long time. I just remember the atmosphere. Sometimes I'm bored at home, guys, and I go back on YouTube and I watch that specific derby highlights over again. That's how you know it stuck to me. So in terms of old derbies gone by, as much as people might say, "Oh, he's just a newborn fan. He's not, one of the old gens." No, I know my old history, but that one sticks out to me personally. I'd go for that. Another one I'd go for is 2008, I believe. We beat you 3-1. Adebayor, Fabregas, banging in goals, top bins. You know this one because I think you were there. I don't know if you were there at the time, but
I wasn't, but I remember it because I think Nasri scored the first goal, and whilst that replay was going on, Fabregas then steamrolls through and bags a second. Is that the right one? Am I on the right lines there?
yeah, it's the one where he just runs through dribbles and then bangs it top bins, and Adebayo does the perfect flick up, boom, top bin. So those two stick out to me. That's like the Wenger era one that really sticks out to me. And then, this new era that we're now, getting out of, removing the Wenger past. That 4-2, I think it was 2018, I believe. Yeah, that one sticks to me the most. But I know what did you think? What fixtures do you think I was going to go for when you asked the question?
I was thinking, I did. I'm going to confess here, I did change the question slightly. Because I was going to say just favourite derbies in general, and then I knew the one that you were going to probably go with was the one that obviously crowned you champions at the Lane, which I still sing about to this day.
Okay.
I thought I'm not letting Nelson have that one, but no, I thought the consecutive 5-2s would have certainly been in
Good
there.
shout. Yeah, I remember those.
They were painful. They were painful, bro.
Yeah, they were. You guys were still going through it that time, I remember. But yeah, those 5-2s were good. I think that was the same day as the Carling Cup final. I remember not paying attention to that because I remember this is the North London derby. I don't care about no stupid Carling Cup final. Like, this is the final. So yeah, that game was electric. Again, there's nothing can beat a North London derby, whether it's at the Lane, the Emirates, or Highbury. Yeah, man. But down to you. I've picked my one. I'm sure you have some
in terms of the Emirates. Certainly. Well, in terms of away fixtures, Tottenham haven't necessarily done that well. So it's probably easier for me to say about the ones that we've actually done all right in, to be fair. Certainly, I think the 4-4 is a classic game in general. Not even just North London derbies, but just a classic game. 4-2 down, 4 minutes to go. The song of Bentley from 50 and Lennon from 2 was christened after that one. But no, I remember watching that one at home with my dad and a friend of mine, and just going absolutely mental when Lennon stuck that fourth one in as well. Just literally just going mental around my house because it was one of the last kicks of the game, and that was Harry Redknapp's second game, I think, in charge of Spurs. And whatnot. So yeah, that's definitely a memorable one. The 3-2 at the Emirates as well. The Kabul header, the Van der Vaart penalty, him shushing the crowd, which was a typical Van der Vaart trait after he scored, especially against you guys. Always loved a little one of those. That one definitely sticks up there for me because that was the first time I actually won at the Emirates. Definitely up there. As well, I think the cup game of a couple of seasons ago, Gazzaniga,
Dele Alli chip,
Gazzaniga into Kane. Kane's first 2 touches, and he just
as soon as he come
on a plate for Dele, who just produces an absolute sauce of a chip, like coming through with salt, vinegar, extra sauce on that. Of that, and it was just the limbs as well in the away end for that one. That was certainly brilliant. But also for me personally, on a personal note, the one last season will always stick with me because it was my first experience of a North London derby being an away fan. Really, really weird match day experience. Didn't really wear any colours, didn't want my head getting caved in. So
was this the 2-2?
Yeah, the 2-2. So kept it pretty quiet, but just taunting you guys because obviously at the time we were in the Champions League and you were in the Europa League, so that felt nice. But yeah, the atmosphere in the away end that day leading up to the game was very, very strange and something that I hadn't experienced before, and I'm thinking this is North London derby and everybody in the away end is quiet. We could hear you guys singing, singing away and everything like that, and there was no response. And I'm thinking, I even said to my dad, I was like, Dad, this is weird. Like everybody that's there is just like catching up with mates and stuff like that. It just felt weird. But yeah, as soon as I got into my seat, I started the singing off in the away end, basically, because I'd had enough by that point. So yeah, no, that will always stick with me, because like I say, it was my first experience of a North London derby as an away fan. So yeah, that one will always stay.
Nice.
Stay with me. So right, Nelson, just to wrap up then, score predictions, please. What are you going to go for?
Score predictions. As much as I want to win, I am really considering the Europa League game on Thursday, the fact that we have to fly back to then prepare for Sunday's game. As much as it was impressive that we did that and beat Leicester away from home, let's not forget that. Everything, like you said, everything flies out the window when it comes to this game. So I'm going to go for a 2-2 draw. I'm going to predict who's going to score. I'm going to go for Saka to score. And I am praying that man like Thomas Partey gets his first goal for Arsenal. And for you guys, I think there was one time I guessed right that Toby would score. And I think that was the game you guys won 2-1 last season. I'm going to go for Kane. Usual goal, the usual slice of pizza on that day. And who am I going for? I'm going to go for an unknown scorer, someone that you wouldn't expect to come. I'm actually going to go for Sergio. I'm going to go for Sergio. He might come up and pop up from a goal. I don't know, from somewhere, but I get a feeling that something I'm going to go for that. 2-2. What about yourself? Who do you think?
So Nelson's gone with a Desmond, 2-2. I have a feeling that we will win. I was kind of, in the reverse fixture, I was hoping that after it went 2-0, that we would really sort of go at you guys in the second half, because I felt you were there for the taking, but we didn't. It was almost like, right, 2-0, job done, see the game out. But I was really like, I think you guys were there for the taking. Like, we could have made it 3, 4, 5, and then that would have really been a real statement of intent at that time as well. And I feel like as well that could have propelled us and kicked us on to maybe staying up there a little bit longer afterwards, because we'd have had that confidence of getting a big result in a big game. But I feel like this one's going to be close, but I feel like it will be like, I still think Tottenham will come out on top. So I'm going to go with a 3-2 win. I noticed that your camera went off there just as I said that Tottenham were going to win, so clearly you weren't a fan of that.
No, I wasn't.
No. So yeah, scorers for you guys, I think Lacazette will get a goal if he plays, that is. I know we mentioned before that he might play, but I think Lacazette will score. And I think we'll probably concede like a sloppy goal from somewhere, and somebody like a Gabriel or somebody will score from a wide free kick or a corner or something like that. But I think in terms of Tottenham goal scorers, listen, there's 3 things that are certain in life, right? It's death, taxes, and Harry Kane scoring in a North London derby. So as I mentioned before, that he will score a penalty. So yeah, Kane will get a pen at the Emirates. Still the only man to have to come out and justify going down in the penalty area by Sky. So that really still winds me up to this day, because there's people that have been worse culprits and have got away with it, but whatever suits their agenda, I suppose. Kane will get 2. I'm going to say he's going to get 2.
Oh, okay.
And I think it's time. Sonny broke his duck. He's gone a little while without a goal, and I think this will be the perfect game for him to do so. Because I remember in that cup game as well that we mentioned before, he also scored a really, really good goal off his left foot.
He did.
Well. So, yeah, Kane's going to get 2 and Sonny's going to get 1. I would love it if potentially Bale gets in on the act, or if Kane gets a hat-trick, but that's just just the way I see it on that one. So I've not gone conservative. I've not sat on the fence. I'm sticking my chest out, neck on the line.
Nice.
Spurs are going to win.
I like it.
Spurs are going to win and take home the bragging rights once again. Right then, Nelson, that wraps it up for us for today.
Brilliant.
Hope you enjoyed going through North London Derby and whatnot. And for you guys listening and watching as well, we hope you enjoyed it as much as we did as well. Make sure that you like this video, comment on anything that we have covered today and any topics you would like us to cover in the future. Subscribe to the channel and turn the notification bell on as well, so you know every time that we post. We've got a lot of different content coming once lockdown restrictions have been eased a little bit as well. Follow us on all social media platforms as well as Spotify, if you search at WM32 Football for those. And don't forget, the online shop is coming through like Tottenham fan AJ Tracy, have to throw that one in there as well, so you can copy your very own WM32 Football merchandise. I've got a polo on today and Nelson has got his hoodie on.
Yes,
if you would like to copy your own merchandise, head over to the shop, as I mentioned, www.wm32football.com/shop for that. Managed to get my teeth in for that one, so I am buzzing. So guys, take care, stay safe, and we will see you all very, very soon.
bye-bye.